This is the next video in my non-sacral aligned success experiment. In this series, I am sharing with you my own experience, my own journey, my own experiment with radically surrendering to my strategy and authority based on my human design of being a splenic projector. And, when it comes to aligned success, what I think is the most important first step is figuring out how to identify when you're in certain habits, when you're in conditioning, like they refer to in human design, that has you doing things a certain way out of habit, or because you think you have to, or because your mind has come up with this strategy, or you're using logic when you shouldn't be using logic to decide what you do and how you do it. And so the first step really comes from having that awareness when it is something that is misaligned, a misaligned motivation. And, for me, that often comes up as trying to prove something. So whenever I catch myself being in a proving energy, or, the other side of that is being afraid to admit when, something was harder than I thought it would be, or I'm not having the results or having the success that I thought that I should have by this point. And so that's one of the things that gets triggered pretty quickly once you start sharing publicly the way that I have been doing in this series. And once you sit with the camera in your face and you're trying to figure out what to say. So for me, just really noticing when I'm trying to say the right thing in the right way to prove that what I'm saying is right and that you should listen to me and that I have the answers for you. And really the truth is, when it comes to this type of alignment, there isn't some easy list of steps that I can give that would work for everyone. This is really a process that is going to be very unique to you. It's going to have to come from within, from your own inner guidance, from your own inner knowing, and really committing to noticing when what you're doing is coming from someplace other than that, other from within. And so that's one of my favorite things about human design, is it really helps you when you understand it, when you understand yourself and your human design, when you really understand what your strategy and your own personal authority is and how your body is telling you what's correct and what's not correct for you. And it isn't about just following some procedure. It's not, there's not some if you do these 10 things, you're going to have success. And I think a lot of times people that I've worked with have been disappointed that I couldn't just do that. I don't really actually want to understand human design. I don't want to know how to read a chart. I don't want to know why this makes this happen, or I just want you to tell me, how do I put that into action? Just give me the action steps. I've heard that from several people, and they were really disappointed when my response was that there isn't just some number of steps that you can take and then it all clicks into place. It often is a long journey. It's a long thing that you're committing to. And a lot of times people don't want to hear that either. They just want give me this thing that fixes it, that fixes the problem. And what's interesting is, for me as a 3/5, one of the things that happens is people tend that have line 5, which is the second number in my profile. It's common for other people, the first impression to be that line 5 is going to be the one that fixes their problems. They're going to be the one that steps in and tells them how to fix it or fixes it for them. And they kind of project onto them that they're going to have that role of fixing their problems. And when that line 5 doesn't live up to that projection, that they weren't even aware that this person had this expectation for them, and when they don't live up to that, then they get really upset, and they get, they blame the other person for not living up to who they thought they were. But really, in fact, that line 5 never knew that that expectation was there. They didn't realize it. They didn't agree to it in the first place. And it can be really painful when that happens. And for me as a 3-5, there are definitely lots of times when I think back where I got to a place in certain relationships where I could tell that the person was disappointed, that I didn't live up to who they thought I was going to be. And that can be really painful because, I want to be able to help. I want to make things easier and better for people. And and that, I think, is something that I have gotten to a place where I've become very guarded to try to avoid that from being the case. And, I think I talked about it before, times that, or other ways where I've tried to be careful about how I put myself out there, or how I'm communicating and how I'm expressing myself to avoid, people not understanding or thinking I'm weird. And this is another thing that's similar to that, where I've been really careful to try to avoid having situations and relationships where it ends in that way. And there's a part of me, I've realized, that will only let myself open up so much because there's this fear that at any point the other shoe's going to drop and this person's going to realize that I didn't actually live up to who they thought I was. And so I've been careful to try to really figure out what is it that people think I can do, and try to figure out if I can live up to that, or work really hard to try to prove that I'm as good as they thought I was, or maybe even try to do something that makes them think I'm better than they even thought I was, because I'm coming from that place of trying to prove myself so that I'm not disappointing people when I don't live up to something I didn't really even realize was an expectation they have, so that it's not painful for me to have those relationships end. But yeah, I know that probably doesn't really make sense, but this is just another place that I am bringing awareness to in my own journey of trying to not approach all new relationships expecting that to end in a way where the other person's disappointed, just because that's kind of what my history has led a part of my brain to believe, and to try to step outside of that fear and of that belief and just trust that the more aligned I am, the more I follow my strategy and authority, the less likely I'm going to be to draw in people that will have that negative projection on me that will end poorly and end the relationship, or end in that person feeling disappointed with who I actually am. And the more I let myself just live and be in who I really am and who I want to be, and sharing from that really open, authentic place and aligned place, that the majority of my relationships moving forward are going to have a more positive outcome than how most of the relationships I've had in the past. So yeah, I don't know if you know your profile lines, but there's a lot of really interesting information in profile lines in human design that give you insight into who you think you are and how the other world perceives you, and how those interactions are likely to go. And so profiles is definitely a really fun area of human design to dig into and to start to understand. So yeah, if that's something that you're curious about, let me know, and I can help direct you to resources for that. But so yeah, that's it for today. I want to thank you so much for watching to the end. I'm sending you lots of love, and I'll see you in the next video.